Hey folks, today I've got a Seiko SNKN41. Is that right? SNKN41. It is part of Seiko's Recraft line, and as such has kind of a retro vibe going on. But something I didn't expect, and something you don't really see online, is really how big this watch is. The lug to lug is 49 millimeters. And I'll show you a little bit later on my roughly 7-inch wrists. It wears big even on me, and because it's not a tool watch with a big bezel, it wears like a bigger watch. But first impressions, for the money, this is a very well done watch. The dial is beautiful. It's got a sunburst effect, and it's got a kind of two-tone thing going on with a white, silver brushed chapter ring going around the side. And as you can see, it is an automatic. The movement in here is a Seiko S26, similar to what you'd find inside Seiko 5s. I do wish that it had a 4R36 or 4R35 like you'd see in some of the newer lower end Seiko automatics these days, or just above lower end Seiko automatics these days. But I believe these are going for under $100 now, and I cannot complain. And there are benefits to having a 7S26. It is a bulletproof, reliable movement, and I've heard of people getting 20 to 30 years of service out of it without any maintenance. And at less than $100, I think you can't really ask for more. I actually changed the band, my usual Milanese mesh that I have on all my watches. In this case, I think it fits it perfectly. It goes with the retro vibe and looks quite good. So as you can see, there aren't really exposed lugs per se, which is nice because you don't have lug gap when you put a strap in. It fits flush there, and it looks like they were made to be together. There is a wide beveled edge here, and you've got kind of a cool juxtaposition of polished edges to brushed edges here, and then nice squared off lugs here that add to the overall retro aesthetic, and it definitely has that kind of 70s dress watch feel. So if that's something you're looking for less than $100, I would say snap this up. But as I mentioned, it is a big watch, and you might not be able to see it in this video, but the diameter, well, let's measure it right now. So the diameter is, I believe, 40 millimeters, but let me just double check that for you. I was wrong. The diameter is 43 millimeters. And the height is a manageable 12 millimeters. So 43 millimeters in diameter, 12 millimeters in height, 49 millimeters lug to lug, and 22 millimeter lug width, which is still easy to find bands for, so I appreciate that they didn't move it up to a 24. And I think a 20 or 21 would have looked too small on this. The crystal is Seiko's proprietary Hardlex. The quality of Hardlexes you see on Seiko's Recraft or Seiko 5 lines are not going to be of the same quality you see in Seiko's Monsters or any of their higher end dress watches like the SARX013. But I'm not too rough on my watches, and I don't think I've ever scratched a Hardlex. Your mileage may vary, but they are very good crystals, and the clarity is great. And as you can see, there is a slight dome shape on this, which gives you a bit of distortion at the edge, also fitting with that retro aesthetic. In all, though, for less than $100, this is a great piece, and I think anybody would be happy with it. The polishing could be more refined, but again, less than $100. Same with the brushing, but for the price, still works. There could be a signed crown, but you don't typically see that on watches in this price range. I'm happy with it. I think you will be too. Just keep in mind that this isn't a $300 to $500 watch, or even more than that. It is a less than $100 watch, despite Seiko's MSRP. And something I forgot to mention, this watch doesn't have any lume. I know the indices and the hands look like they would have some. It doesn't. I wish it did, especially with the size of these indices. I think some lume bright would look awesome. But again, this is a dress watch, and so I think that's okay. So here it is on wrist. It is a big watch. I would say I've maybe only got a millimeter to go before this watch becomes too big, and because the lugs aren't really curved, it's a little tough to pull off. So I would say, you know, 6 3/4 would be the absolute limit. I would say my recommendations would be if you have a wrist between 7 and 8.5 inches, you could pull this off just fine. If you've got 6.5 or smaller, I don't think this would work. But on wrist, it's quite handsome. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you next time.